how are you? I'm very happy that you are doing this activity with me. Today, what we're going to do are wind chimes. So, most of you will be asking yourselves what wind chimes are. So, I'm going to explain a very little bit about the context of wind chimes, okay? So, wind chimes have a very long and varied history, with developments spanning cultures, continents, and uses. Archaeological finds date back almost 5,000 years. In Southeast Asia, remains of wind chimes made from bone, wood, bamboo, and shells were found at 3000 BC. Chimes were thought to ward off evil spirits. A more practical use in Indonesia was to scare birds from crops. In 1100 BC, the Chinese were the first to appreciate the musical and artistic properties of wind chimes and bells. The Chinese developed the art of bell sounding, and metal bells were hung from eaves in temples and pagodas. They were also used as warning signals when the uncontrollable forces of nature were about to impact the environment. The Chinese used the music of chimes to express emotions and establish an atmosphere of peace and harmony. So I'm very happy that you're doing this with me, as I said. Okay guys, very good. So now that we have our explanation done, I'm going to show you what materials you're going to use while making your wind chime, okay? First of all, I don't know if you have ever seen this, but if you have CDs in your house that you don't use anymore, you can use this. If you do not have them, it's okay. You can just use a piece of recycled paper, okay? Then you are going to use liquid glue. If you don't have liquid glue, you can use Pritt. You're going to use a little bit of thread. If you don't have thread, don't worry, you can still use your paper. And you can use some decorations that you already have in your house, okay? Like this. And, for example, I'm going to use some star paper that I found, okay? So, that is the only material that you will need. So let's start making our wind chime. Okay guys, so the first step that I'm going to do is have my CD ready, or make my CD in that piece of paper, okay? So let me show you how it'll work in case you don't have a CD. Okay guys, so now that we have our CD, if we don't have one, remember I just made one that is plastic, putting the shape of the CD in the paper and drawing around it, and then cutting it with scissors, okay? So that would be our first step. Okay, so I decided I am going to use my CD. So first of all, we're going to put glue on our CD, okay? So we're going to glue up our CD for it to be covered in glue, and we can put our decorations there, okay? So I'm going to start putting it. Cover it all super well. If you have a paintbrush, you can also use that. I'm only using my fingers to cover it. So you cover it up super well. Okay guys, now that you covered all of your CD or paper CD of glue, you will put your decorations, okay? So you will take a little bit and you will start covering it up with the glue that you put on. So I decided to do a lot of colors, but you can do it with whatever you have. It can also be newspaper, for example, or magazines that you don't use anymore, okay? Okay guys, you have to let this dry for about 10 minutes. And after it's dried already, you will have something that looks like this, okay? Full of color and sparkly. Okay, so now next, what we're going to do is grab our thread, okay? We will grab our thread and we will cut some pieces of it, more or less of half 1 meter, okay? Half a meter. We will start cutting it, like 2 or 3 pieces, however big you want your wind chime to be, okay? So we're going to cut them. Perfect. I've decided to make a moon wind chime. So with another CD that I don't use anymore, or if not, remember that you can also use your paper CD, you will cut it in the shape of a moon with scissors or a cutter with the help of an adult. Okay? So I'm going to cut it. Okay guys, so as you can see, I made a shape of a moon here, okay? So I'm going to grab one of the pieces of thread I cut before in the previous step, and I'm going to paste it, okay? I'm going to paste just the tip here, okay? After you pasted the tip, we are going to decorate this part too, okay? Preferably with a different material, but if you can find newspapers or magazines again, or tiny little papers, that's okay too, okay? So I decided to cover up my moon with some tiny little pieces of plastic that I found, okay? So we're going to let that dry, and with the spare parts that you didn't use for doing your moon, you will create another moon. And for example, since the CD already has this like very nice rainbow glow, I'm gonna leave it like that, okay? And I'm going to add one of the other threads that we already cut, okay? And paste only the little ending on top of it. Okay guys, after you did your two moons, for example, I have this star paper, but it's okay if you don't have one. You can just draw out the stars, okay? I'm going to cut little tiny pieces of it, like this. We have a piece of paper, and with a ruler you can also measure some lines in your paper. So I'm going to cut them. Okay, after I cut them, I end up with these pieces of paper, okay? And this will all be to put in your big CD that you made the first time, okay? So I'm going to glue them up here too, for them to be glued in the tip of the CD. Okay guys, so when you're done, you should have something that looks like this. Feel free to add more moons or more stars if you want, okay? But this is a wind chime, and you will put it in a place where the wind goes by, okay? Where you can have a lot of wind for this to move and make sounds between the clinking sounds of the CDs. It was great to share this activity with you guys again, and don't forget to clean up, okay? Have a great day, guys.